everybody, and welcome back to the Interval Studio. In this episode, we're running a remote feature all the way across the country to the University of Southern California. And with me is an artist by the name of George Tyler Heffly, who goes by the name of Heff. And that's an easy name to remember, and you should, because George is an extraordinary young artist. And I won't get it, well, I'll share in a moment how I became aware of Heff. But when I heard his music, I was drawn to the point where I need to learn more about this artist, and this is what this interview is going to be about. So yeah, we're about Philadelphia music and mostly and artistry and things to do with Philly. So the question is, what does Heff have to do with Philly? Pretty much nothing. But come to the University of Southern California by way of my own personal connection, because I have three nephews that are all recent graduates of USC who've told me repeatedly, from them knowing their uncle is totally into music and all that kind of stuff, that I got to learn more about USC's music scene and the artists that are coming out of it. And by coincidence, in the universe knocking on our door, a representative from the student relations office found us at the here at the Interval and asked us to talk to one of their rising star artists. And this is who we have today. His name is Heff, and we're super thrilled to have Heff here on the program. Heff, welcome to the Interval.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And we're really thrilled that you found the time, and we can learn more about where you've come from and where you're going. Your two songs, I Still Love You and Sierra, are out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have them? What other streaming platforms that we can find them on?
Well, they're on, of course, Spotify. They're on Apple Music, pretty much everything.
Excellent.
Yeah,
great. So we're just going to start out front. Like this is where someone's like, all right, I want to hear this gentleman's music before I go further. There you go. You can find them on their favorite streaming platforms and YouTube. They're great songs.
Thank you.
So where does the source of your writing come from? Before we kind of get your backstory, tell me about like how those songs came about, and essentially why you wrote them.
Yeah. So really, I mean, most songs, there's never like a set way of writing it. For me, it's always I'm playing guitar all the time, and I have so many progressions in my head, and sometimes lyrics come from just different events, or if you're like really inspired by something. And so for Sierra, this is a song I was writing as I was really diving into the music of both Frank Ocean and John Mayer. Frank Ocean with his lyricism, and also just the guitar playing and songwriting that John Mayer does. I was very inspired by both of those. And I wrote this song, when I was in Hollywood. I was with a friend, and it was just, it was at night when I was writing it, and I was just imagining like, oh, what would this girl that named Sierra, I just imagine it's like at night. It's like, why would she be walking down the street at night? And so some of the first lyrics for that, it's like, all the pretty lights of the city fall their spotlight on you. It's just very, in my head, I'm just imagining just like an old animation kind of stuff. And so it's very just, that song was just very much of a third person point of view of kind of just seeing someone and just writing about that. And it's just in the key, and just how it's arranged was to capture like big city vibes. And it's so funny because there's this, a lot of the stuff that I write is very like influenced by like films and scenes and stuff. And so I don't, this is probably my subconscious, but I just rewatched The Great Gatsby. And then there's like a scene where there's like a trumpet player like standing on a fire escape. And it's kind of just what I was thinking. It's just like you're seeing someone coming down the street, and it's just like, what are you doing that? Like musicians are like practicing on their own, but it's like in unison, kind of like cats like howling at night kind of vibe.
I love you sharing that. Next time I listen to this song, I'm gonna think of those things.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. The way like when we listen to music, it's really the first impression. It just kind of comes at us, whether your perspective is I'm looking for a hook in the melody, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But when you kind of get the nuances that were informed into the writing by what the artist was intending or just trying to accomplish, can give you a different context and perspective to appreciate the song. So appreciate that.
Oh,
I
of
Still
course.
Love You. Is that kind of the same thing? Was that from a breakup?
No, not at all. I mean, that one was funny. I also wrote that one on Hollywood Boulevard because I first went to my whole kind of education. After high school, I did Musicians Institute, which is in Hollywood, then community college at Glendale, and then transferred to SC. But when I was at MI, I wrote a lot of songs, and so when I was on Hollywood Boulevard, um, I was kind of just the idea for "I Still Love You" is more just like a daydream. So if you're just for anyone, it's if you're kind of just sitting like this, just not even thinking about spacing out, and you're thinking of that special someone, and it's just like an ideal relationship. And it's not like the lyrics are saying like I want this. It's just like it's already happening. It's just we're in the grooves, and there's like zero strife. And like a part like in the second verse, I say a line, and this kind of goes back to like me tying in cinema inspirations, but it's like you be the Mrs. Smith, I'll be that Mister. But let's leave out the fighting and go straight to the loving. It's like,
Cool.
the strife is behind, and we're not even like getting into it. We're just straight into the good parts of it. And so that's really, yeah, that's kind of, not kind of, but that's like the idea for the lyrics is very much anyone daydreaming about that special someone. And it's not like you're daydreaming about any negatives or anything like that. It's just like, oh, that'd be so cool if I was with that person right now, kind of
That's
vibes.
very cool. I love that. So, as you've touched on, music from high school, and then you went to a community college.
Yeah, I went to a musicians institute, which is like a music school. I did
Okay.
that for a year and a half, and then I went to community college right after.
So tell me more about. Let's talk about let's rewind the tape and go back to your beginnings. You're from the LA area
Yeah, I grew up in Burbank.
in Burbank. Okay, beautiful downtown Burbank.
Hmm.
Um, and are you from a family music background? Like, how did music get into your life and into your DNA? Did you just wake up with it, or was it all around you? How
Yeah,
did
I mean, I'm the only musician in my family because my dad's done so much, but he's like really involved with filmmaking and like on like the scene. So he's like a teamster. He's part of all these other unions. So he's part of like the sets, and just throughout the decades, throughout the years, he's just been involved in that side. My mom works at Disney for music, so through her, I've been able to listen to a lot of great music, meet some really cool people. So I feel like it's less of I was in like a music house. It's not like I had a bunch of musicians in the family. It's more just I was in the industry, and so with that, I've been able to be surrounded by all forms of entertainment, especially here in LA. So both like music and film and everything else.
That's awesome. With us is Julia Lee, who's part of the student talent development, or I guess you could say access to career development at USC. Did I get that right, Julia?
Yeah, I'm helping George right now. I'm just working as his publicist.
Great,
She's
great,
killing it.
great. Well, this is fun because we've interviewed at the interval local artists here in the Philadelphia area. Their arc is not at all like yours, right? Because you're coming from a center of artistry, creativity. The film industry's there. Um, and here in Philly, we have some of that, but it's not pervasive like it is. Um, and I gotta imagine that while that's beneficial, you can be all around it. It's hyper competitive, if right
Oh yeah.
is so. Tell me more about how hard or how competitive it is to not only be an artist and get recognized, but even get into the USC programs that you're in.
Yeah, well, I mean, both of those are trips and stories of their own. I mean, the fact I got into USC, I'm beyond thankful, especially since I'm approaching the last couple weeks. You know, and I've been here for 4 years and been able to meet so many amazing musicians, so many amazing people in the industry. That's a cool thing about this school. because notes are notes. You can learn music notes anywhere. You can learn in your room. The Something incredibly valuable that I've been able to get from this are really the people that I meet. It's like people that are in the industry, alumni, guest speakers that come in, but it's also the people we go to class with. I'm an example, Julia, and it's so many people are so involved at such a high level. And I tell some people, because I also work as an Thornton ambassador leader for the music school, and stuff that I've noticed these past years is it's less of like 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 musicians and industry people trying to compete with each other, get to 10 out of 10. Everyone's at a 10 out of 10 when they come here. Everyone's amazing, like amazing musicians, amazing audio engineers, everyone, and industry people, everyone kills it. So then we get to grow to 12 out of 10 with each other. And I think that's definitely one of the uh, best parts of going to SC. So me getting there and working there and being a part of this has been amazing. And but to go back to the other part, it is competitive to essentially get your music in front of people and known. Because reality is we're all trying to be the first thing that people see when they open their phone, whether it be here in LA, around LA, or you know all across the US and around the world. A lot of it is just how do you not only make great music that people will stick onto, but it's like how do you best market yourself and get it in front of people and turn passive listeners into active listeners and all that stuff.
That's really cool information. And to that point, and Julie, maybe you can help inform this too. What do you see as the task of the artist to find that audience? Are do you cover that as a class or topic in your studies? Marketing, even so much as branding, or that is that part of that stuff discussed? How are you educated in the business side of being an artist?
Yeah, so I mean, oh, I'm sorry.
You
That's
can
where
go.
either one of you wants to jump in. Go ahead. Yeah.
You can go, Julia.
Yeah, we definitely had many classes on the business side. For me, I made like both of us majored in music industry, so it's about like learning about how to take advantage of resources as an artist or as part of the artist team to advertise and create that brand. We take classes from both the music school and like our business school at USC, and they're like just for developing artists, there are a list of things to do, maybe like website or online and offline campaigns and like just different experiments to try out. Especially in today's world, there are like new ideas emerging every day, and it's just like a fun experimental thing that we just try what works and what does not.
Right. So social media, is that widely covered? And what are your thoughts on a TikTok versus Instagram versus other platforms that helps drive your so-called name, and you can call it even your brand?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry.
You can
Why
go.
don't you go ahead, Heff?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we live in a world where that's what we use, social media. It's very ingrained in how we operate, especially on the industry side. And I think it's really helpful for independent artists and independent creators and everything to get their stuff in front of people. Um, it just takes also too, it's like you don't want to just rely on that. You don't want to be just a data artist. You don't want to just have good data. You want to make sure like that's killing and everything's getting in front of people, but also that again you make great music and also that you sound great live. I think all of those are very important, and you have to, one's not more important than the other and everything else in regards to coming up as an independent artist. It's really just champion all those to the best of your ability, and of course just being super genuine with yourself, your sound, and your brand.
Very good. And I think we covered this when we were preparing for the interview, but you're majoring in music or composition, or tell me what your majors are.
So yeah, so I double major. I do jazz guitar and music industry.
Okay. And Julia, are you a student also, or are you a
Yeah,
graduate?
I'm a student. I major in music industry.
Music industry. Okay. Um, so what is next upon graduation? And you where do you are you looking to tour? Are you looking to what just whatever you can do? What's your real ambition? What would you love to do and be?
Well, I want to be a rock star.
Right?
uh, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I just like I have so much experience, and modestly saying, like at a somewhat high level, with the people that I've worked with and the stuff that I've done. You know, I'd love to continue to write music, play guitar. If for myself, of course, continue to write, record, and release stuff and play because I have a lot of experience with that. You know, I would love to go on tour and play myself, play with other people, and yeah, just continue to be creative. Also, with writing music, I have experience scoring a film, like student films here. And on the business side, you know, I've had a few internships, and
Right.
so something that I've done recently is music supervision, which has been so much fun. And yeah, but really just to continue to hit the ground running after we graduate. The last thing, which is not going to happen, but you know, I would have hated to graduate and be like, okay, now what? You know, it's like let's just keep it going. But really, the goal after all this is to continue to write music, release it, do it efficiently. I'd love to go on tour.
Okay.
If you guys want me to come to Philly, I guess if I have to, yeah, let's do it.
Come
Yeah,
on out. Come
We
on
were
out.
looking for tickets when like I first got your email and we were so excited.
yeah,
Great.
we're like, all right, how expensive? It's like, oh shoot, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if
was
we can
like,
do. Yeah,
maybe we should drive.
yeah, maybe we could drive
Yeah,
there.
airfare is not cheap right now. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the
Um,
big thing is, you know, just continuing to play guitar. I do it for myself. If other people want me to play with them, I'm more than happy to. I'm very conditioned at couch surfing, and so like being on tour, I feel like I could do a great job with that.
right. Yeah. And when you're young, that's the time to do it.
Yeah,
Are you performing regularly live before audiences now?
yeah.
In
I've like
bars, clubs?
Yeah, I've grown up playing live for people. Like when I was in high school, along with playing football, which is actually where I got my nickname Heff.
Okay.
Also did choir at the school in Burbank, and the John Burroughs High School is very, very well renowned choir. So I had a lot of experience with them. You know, playing shows and going around. You know, I performed at the Hollywood Bowl. I performed on The Voice and other spots in Beverly Hills and stuff. And so that's some, along with like doing shows when I was younger, I did that. And then coming around here, I just have a lot of experience playing different clubs and venues around campus. I think a really cool gig that I did was this is before I transferred and I was still at community college, but my friends at that other school in LA at UCLA, they hit me up to do this show that it's like a talent show. It's called Spring Sing, and so I played with my friend and we headlined, and it was sold out. There's like over like 9,000 people. It's in Poly Pavilion, so it's like an actual like arena like stadium show, and it took me like a week to start to kind of come down from that performance side. It was so much fun, and so I definitely have a lot of experience playing shows if it's like small venues or massive things, and so I'd love to continue to do that.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, put together an act and hit the road.
Yeah.
So, do you have representation or agent, or is like, does that still happen, or everyone's kind of you have to kind of be your own agent and your own representative?
Well,
Both of you, we can time
yeah.
let share your thoughts on that.
I don't have anything just yet, but there's still like agencies are still very involved. Because I could do everything on my own, but you get to certain points, and every artist is the same for every artist. You know, you need to build a team. It's like when you go to a record label, you're like, why is there so many people here? It's like, oh, there's so many different things I need to get done. And so yeah, so and that's the same with like agencies, you know, getting stuff out and different like management groups and all that. So I have nothing yet, but I'm down. I'm down to work with
Yeah.
people.
No, this is great. And so our program also is watched or seen by a lot of other artists. And so we're all about, sharing inside baseball,
Yeah,
um, about the industry and how to do it, tips, ideas, things that work. Um, you know, the old formula where you created a hard following, solid following, get discovered, and then the music company takes over, which is kind of good and bad. Um, Good in that you can make a lot of money, but if they change their mind and decide you're no longer in their interest, they chuck you. Versus, you're creating your own business, um, and then you've created your own business. Do you need a record company per se? Those type of things are all in play now. It's very different than it
yeah.
was 15, 20 years ago. Um, so your
Well,
perspectives are really interesting, and insightful.
yeah. Well, I mean, historically, record labels helped make records, like physically make and distribute music.
Right.
Now, people, including myself, can make music on our own, release it, and you don't need a label to do that. They are
Right.
definitely
But it's a
helpful.
matter of how do you make money at that point,
Yeah. Well, the
right?
big thing, it's always, never sign anything without a lawyer. Never, ever, ever. That's like, just do that. And yeah, I mean, ways to make money is, not really selling music because no one buys music. It's all through streaming. I mean, ways to do something is like getting it synced.
Mm-hmm.
You can make actual money from there. I mean, you can make like 4,000 per million streams, but you still need to get like a million streams and everything. And so, yeah, there's definitely there's a need, like, because I used to intern at Warner Records, and so like there's a lot that a label still does, and they're still very important with people. It's just a different kind of relationship between artists and labels.
Julie, do you agree?
Um, I think that most people I know, they're just indie. They're just starting off. There's a lot of freedom. They got to choose what they want to do, but as things get a little like more developed, bigger, there are just so many moving parts, and there needs to be a team. So I totally agree on that. Also about today's music industry, yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of sad that the value of music kind of decreased in a sense that streaming doesn't like pay you that much. That's probably why a lot of musicians or artists they're aggressively on tours all the time. Or another way to make money is through like syncing, or it also like making merch. There are just alternative ways to do it, or even endorsement. It's just like the music industry become more like rounded and more like integrated into other sectors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have to? Are you taught any of that? Do you like how to set up your own website? How to set up um, your own production and account so that you can, take money from the platforms? Or is that like everyone has to figure that out every time they try to start it out?
Well, it's definitely introduced to us, so if you sign up with a distributor, like I've released my music through CD Baby, and for them they collect it, and they release it because your account's signed to it. And it's also making sure you sign as a songwriter, signing your stuff up through a PRO, it's a performance rights organization. So
Okay.
I do my stuff through ASCAP, and uh, they help bring in money as well, because streaming royalties go along with like performance royalties, so they're a
Mm.
part of that as well. So there's definitely tools that help you collect all this stuff. It's just the more you know, the better. Definitely, as like other songwriters and industry people, it's like I'm not going to be a lawyer, but you want to understand like the different parts of the contract. If it says in perpetuity, it's like don't got to be in perpetuity. It's like
Mm-hmm.
recognizing certain stuff, and that's the same with understanding which PROs to sign up for. Which how to distribute your money or your music, and just everything you got to be aware of.
That's great. That's great insight. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, Before we wrap up, what are your thoughts on what's current in music? Who excites you that is performing right now and inspires you?
God, it's honestly everyone. I know that's such a broad thing, but everyone has such an
Heff,
amazing.
you need to dial that in for me.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, shoot, because I listen to so much, so I'm like, all right, what's the most? Let's see. I'm gonna pull up, like, who did I just listen to?
We know you're a fan of Frank Ocean.
Yeah, Frank Ocean's great. John Mayer's great. If you want to make any guitarist blush, you got to tell them, oh wow, you sound like John. And then they're like, oh
Right.
shoot.
When
Um,
you were young, who did you listen to when you were growing up?
I definitely listened to a lot of dad rock because music was really introduced because my dad and I would always drive to go fishing and we just listen to stuff that was on the radio. I mean, big people. There's so much. Like I love the Beatles, of course. I mean that's such a everyone says that, but they say because their stuff's great, and like their songwriting, what they've done for the industry is amazing. Led Zeppelin, of course. These are like the oldies. There's actually
Can you remember like the first song that you loved as a kid? That just
yeah.
you had to hear it. I
Well,
love your both responses.
yeah. Funny enough, the song that got me into playing guitar wasn't like a crazy ripping solo song. It was actually like the chorus of "Feel Good Inc." by the Gorillaz.
Okay.
It's when he's like
Yeah,
windmill,
yeah.
windmill for the like that part. Just when I first heard that, I was like, oh my god, guitar is so cool. I'm trying. Yeah, I think honestly, new like the 1975 are so much fun to listen to. Um, I was in Colorado. I was playing with this one artist when they're doing like this small festival when the 1975 were at the Bowl, the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, oh no, the time was so off. But their stuff is so much fun in regards to like the people that are around now. And there's actually this new band called Daydreamers. They just released a song called "Call Me Up," and I feel like that's been on repeat for a minute. Um, so yeah.
How about you, Julie? What was a song that kind of got you sparked and you couldn't get out of your head? You had to hear it and helped you become a musician or artist.
There are so many. It's hard to put my finger on one. But I remember growing up listening to U2, Green Day, um, um, Billy Joe. I really love Jeff Buckley,
Mm,
Bon Jovi, Arctic Monkeys,
okay.
um, and uh, who else? Bruno May. Oh, I really like Bruno Mars now, and some other like indie or pop artists, and absolutely have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're now fans of Heft over here too.
I think.
So yeah, you're gonna have to produce an album's worth of work and get your ass out on tour, bro.
Oh, let's do it. I'm so down. I mean, we're cooking now. I'm
Mhm.
recording and mixing and everything now, and so everything's about just kind of releasing it. And yeah, let's do a tour again. If you want us to come out to Philly, we'll do it in a heartbeat. So
Right. There's I guess we can do this offline, but I mean, there's a couple booking agency groups that are here in Philadelphia that looking for artists coming through. Um, Near me, there's some great venues. I live about 15 miles outside of the center of Philadelphia, but
mm,
all around the city is ringed with better than bars. They're like clubs that are devoted to live music.
mm,
Um, and accommodating about 120 people in a room, but they fill the room, and they're always looking for new and original artists to come through. And of course, there's always the festival circuit that happens. Highly recommend getting in on that. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the big thing is, I love to play music with my band and I, and always just try and have a good time with everyone. Like our next show, we're playing at one of the houses here at USC. It's called Surf House, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone there always just has a good time. So I love doing that wherever.
great.
Even to like these past 2 summers through USC, we did like a mini tour in London, um, playing there, which was so much fun. Kind of playing shows there, doing photo shoots, and recording at Abbey Road Studios. And I just bring it up because every time we played shows there, everyone was always having such a good time. So I'm always down to do that.
That's the whole idea. Having a good time. That's what music should be about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad Julia reached out to me, and Heff, you found the time to talk. It's been fascinating to learn about your story and your journey, and this is just the beginning. So I'm sure we'll have some follow up interviews when you're more well known and eventually famous.
Yeah.
And you, now you're not allowed to forget about us.
Oh,
And
never.
yeah, we want the VIP passes in the backstage.
Easy.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate it. And let's stay in touch and best of luck to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. And then thank you, Julia, for getting this together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. This is a great opportunity.
Oh, it's our pleasure too. Super cool.